All right, guys. Just want to say thank you for jumping on today. I'm sure we'll have more jumping in as time goes on, but wanted to say that again, this is another, in case you missed it. So we've been going through a couple in case you missed it for the technology like Annuities Genius, Insight. We talked about disability. We talked about life settlements. We had a couple other carriers, and then we have the star-studded event here with Mr. Marco Campa talking about the wonderful products that we get from National Life Group. Now, the interesting thing is that when Marco and I were competitors, and I wouldn't even really say we were competitors because I was not in the class that NLG was in when I was at Corebridge. But it was funny because we would see each other at different events. But it's always more interesting when you flip the script and now, business partners and I consider Marco a good friend. What I would say is today, uh, some things you probably know about NLG, aside from the fact that they're the most dominant carrier in the industry right now. But there's a lot of other stuff that you may forget that they can do too. And I saw a flyer on a new rider.
You're
So not going to steal your thunder, but would love to hear a little bit about that too. So take it away, Marco. And if you guys need to hear this again, we'll have it up on the YouTube channel after as well. So, Marco, take it away.
awesome. Thank you, Phil. You're right. We went from being competitors to being friends and business partners. So what a time. How quickly do things change in 2 years? And
Seriously.
I will say that I always hated going after Phil because he was the funniest company rep. I was like, look, I have jokes, but I don't have Phil Rush jokes. So that's a different level of jokes. But it's fantastic to see a lot of familiar names actually that we saw at the Great Collaboration. And what a great event. A lot of great things came out of it. I think some of the most beneficial breakout sessions that I saw from carriers was at the Great Collaboration. So, Phil, I think we should make it a requirement. Any carrier should not talk about a product. Let's talk about concepts and ways to use them and different programs that actually drive business and help people get more clients. It's fantastic
Amen.
what heck can happen
Amen.
when
Love
you
it.
when you just stick to that. And so what I want to do today is expand on one topic that I hit on at the Great Collaboration. In fact, this is a new vendor that we have at National Life Group, so can't wait to tell you about them. And I think you guys are all gonna really, really enjoy the way that they do business and the way that you can get more clients through them. Um, we're not going to take the full hour, 30 minutes, but in these next 20-ish minutes, I really hope you get excited from what I am telling you. I'll give you a little bit of update on National Life. Yes, throw up your hand as the emoji, and then also the chat box. We're here for you. But I really hope that you can get a lot out of this and be able to talk, have confidence and get excited to talk about some great things that we're doing in the industry. And again, who National Life is for a couple of minutes, give you an update on how our year has been so far. Because believe it or not, we're halfway through June, and go over some of the new things that Phil talked about, and then the program that we call the Stream Plan. So I have a couple of things I'm going to share, literally like maybe 4 or 5 slides, because I don't know if everyone has done business with National Life. So I just want to give a little bit of an overview of the company for a couple of seconds. And really, it's a fantastic story to be able to share with when you're talking to prospects or anybody about the solutions that we have, because National Life has been a company that's been around for 176 years, going on 177 in November. So we're one of the oldest insurance companies in this country. And it's a name that not everybody knows about because on purpose, we don't advertise nationally, right? So you're not going to see us in a Super Bowl commercial. We're not going to see us on during the March Madness, right? Or commercials during golf tournaments. It's just not our style. We'll probably get there one day, but right now we like to market through you all, right? And so you guys are our voice. If you drive through Dallas, where I am, and you drive through North Dallas, and yeah, you can see our logo on the top of our building. But that's as far as it goes. Really, we're putting stuff on social media for you guys to share because our approach is that people want to partner with the company and do business with people, not with companies. All right, and it's through you guys that are able to power a lot of the purposes out there with financial services. IUL is our bread and butter. We're top of the top in those sales for that category of life insurance. IUL number one with sales and number one in market share as of this was at the end of 2024, and in a top 10 selling life insurance company. And so what's really unique about that is we were literally number 47, 48 when our CEO took over in the early 2000s, right? Like around 08, 09, when he took over as CEO. So through his vision and his focus, we've been able to grow it to a top 10 insurance company. But that's last year's numbers. Let's move on. Let's just talk about this year, right? Through the first quarter, so that's January, February, and March. I took a screenshot of the LIMRA website, and it shows you the overall life sales of all individual insurance companies, right? Not group plans, but the companies that focus with individual life sales. And on the left-hand side, you can see annualized premium and the rankings. And some of these names you guys partner with, right? You sell with. And so look at this. Little old National Lefter went from number 8 to number 7 through 3 months of the year. So we're excited, and we really want to grow to being a top 3 company. But you know what's unique about this list? And it really comes down to who you're partnered with, right? The type of company you want to associate your clients with. If you look at the top 10, what's crazy about that is that how many of are mutual versus stock? So if I go down the list, mutual, mutual, stock, mutual, stock, mutual, 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 stock. So if I do my math correctly, that's 7 out of the 10 are mutual carriers, which is crazy to say, right? Because not all, just because you're a huge carrier doesn't mean that it's the best fit for everyone, right? That we all have our niches and we all have our focus, but it's pretty incredible when you look at that. 7 out of the 10 are mutual carriers, companies that are here and positioned and priced product wise and balance sheet wise for the long term. So it's important to know. And then also with the IUL, we continue to be, according to LIMRA, at the top of that list. It's always a tight race for 1, 2, and 3. So, and out of the 10 here, 6 are mutual. So out of the top 10, 6 are mutual. So we're committed to the IUL world. The products that we make are designed to weather the economic storms that could be coming to us for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years that we have our customers, right? By the way, our oldest customer, guys, has had their policy for 60 years. Like, just think about that. Just think about that. They took it out when they were in their early 20s, and now they're in their 80s. And we've had a relationship. It was a whole life policy. So they got done paying for premiums, but it's incredible to be able to say that you keep a customer for that long. So we're very, very proud of these rankings, and with your help, we can continue to be at the top. And so when we look at what's driving the growth of National After, why we're at the top of the list, I would break our sales into 2 different categories. We would call it middle market, middle America, right? When you think of that, it's the majority of this country, right? Household of 150,000 of income, about 80 to 150,000 of income. We get the majority of our business through that market, and really what people gravitate to, it's not just cash accumulation, but being able to use the product in multiple of ways. And through those ways is through the living benefits, accelerated benefit riders. Something we're extremely proud of at the company is to be able to say that we paid out $113 million in benefits last year, right? That's a huge, huge number, and something we're very, very proud of. We've been tracking this number for 6, 7 years now, and it only goes up because the number of customers that we get increases. So think of terminal illness, chronic critical illness, critical injury. These are all Alzheimer's. These are all different ways that our customers are able to use our products, right? So it's not just about dying, right? It's about, look, if you get sick or injured, there's a very good chance, depending on what the illness is or injury is, that you're able to use this life insurance. So let me talk to you about those benefits. These are extra benefits that are included. So it really, really drives the message home. And you know what's crazy is that we have clients of all ages, genders, and ethnicities and backgrounds that benefited from these riders last year. So over 1,000 different claims make up this $113 million. And one story I want to share with you, there's a QR code on the top right corner. If you want to take a picture of it, it's a 4-minute video. I just warn you, don't play it right now because you're going to be cutting onions. It is an incredible story of Craig. He's a policyholder, and he got a policy through National Life Group because his son got into the business. His son wrote him a policy, and one day, I'll summarize it for you, but Craig was feeling sick. He was feeling down. And what Craig did was go to the doctor, urgent care, turn into ER, results, exams, blood work. Everything came back, and he found out that one of his kidneys was failing. And through the critical illness rider, one of the triggers is a major organ transplant. And we were able to use that rider and Craig stopped working for a few months. He's an entrepreneur, sole proprietor. And so he wasn't able to work during those months when he was sick and going through surgeries. But because he was able to find a kidney with the living benefits, he was able to survive during those months financially. And thank goodness he was able to find a match that was a good kidney for him. And by the way, the match, I'm gonna give it away, was his son. So talk about full circle moments there. So these are the stories that we want your help with and expanding to your communities, to people that you know in your network. These are stories that resonate with people because there's a lot of people in this world that have Craig's story, right? That they're the entrepreneur that's on their own, that's a business owner or an individual whose family is dependent on their income, right? And if something like this happens, what do they have in place to meet their needs financially? So I stop here. Phil, go ahead and ask your question.
So it's not really a question, but you want to talk about cutting onions. Netra put a comment in the chat, and I don't know if she wants to just spend like 2 minutes talking about it. I'm gonna throw her out there, see if she wants to, but that was a tearjerker for me.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about it. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
sure. Yes, yes. So it's a little bad experience and bad news that I had one of my client who is baby. He's only 3.5 year old, and he had two big policies. One is from NLG, and I don't know if I can say the other or not. So both of them are around 1 million each. But when I did the claim application, the money went into the beneficiary's bank account less than 5 business days, no question asked, and so easy. So the dad had a very good experience. So now he's willing to get the big policies from NLG carrier. So no complaints. Very, very, very happy with the NLG company. And also it's very easy to approve the application as well, like big policies also, like other carriers, it's very easy to get it approved with the NLG.
Yeah, and thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that, Netra, because you've done quite a bit of business with us over the
Yes,
last few years. So we
yes, I did.
appreciate your partnership.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
And
Thank you so much. Yes, yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that story because, it's not only is it important because, Netra was able to help someone and now she's helping the next generation to financially not have to worry about a loss. But you
Correct.
think about it, the insurance industry whether it's life insurance or property and casualty, has a really bad reputation in this country. It really does. And stories like this, examples like this, is what's going to help turn things around. So, while this is Netra's story, Netra is a colleague of ours, right? And we're all in this together. So thank you for sharing that, Netra.
Thank you, thank you. And people don't know much about NLG, but once they experience this, they have a full faith, and this is how they can able to refer us to the NLG company. So this is a good one. Yes.
There we go.
Thank you so much for your help, Marco.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, thank you.
My pleasure, Netra. Make sure you get that QR code.
Sure.
Make sure everyone gets that QR code, and again, you can this is all compliant approved, so you can send it to anybody. You can send it through social media, email, text, however you want to communicate this video of Craig, because it's a fantastic story and example to highlight how our products help day-to-day people.
Perfect. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Everyday people. Fantastic. All right. So moving on. This is the last slide I have, and then I have a couple of flyers I want to show you guys. And so somebody asked me a few months ago, can you, just like on a piece of paper, can you tell me everything that National Life is good at? Like all the concepts and different ways I can use life insurance with National Life Group. So I was like, you know what? That's actually a pretty good ask, because the list is pretty extensive. So I did in no particular order, right? I should actually go back and regroup these, but these are all different strategies and different concepts that you can use with clients, right? And whichever one you want to focus on, be my guest, right? Because everyone has their niche, and everybody wants to focus on specific clients. If you want to focus on a couple of these, great. I'm not going to go over all of these. I'm just going to highlight a couple, and maybe at a different time we can dive into detail on different concepts. But premium finance, estate planning, huge sales for us, concepts for us over the last few years. Phil's been a big part of the estate planning sales at National Life Group, as an example. Qualified plans, being able to take deductions at the business owner level and at the business level. McHenry Advisors is a TPA that we have partnered with. He's one of many TPAs, but this is just the first one that came to mind. And then foreign nationals, true foreign nationals that live outside of the country, right, and have assets here. But another thing about foreign nationals, that some people call them foreign nationals, to us we call it a domestic customer. But if you are in the United States consistently for 8 months in a row, so out of the last 12 months, if you've been in the United States for 8 months in a row, and you live in a household that has U.S. income, so income generated in the United States, regardless of visa, immigration status, things like that, we are able to approve you for coverage as a domestic customer. So no requirements on no minimums on the face amounts, nothing, no issues there on premiums, how much you can apply for, right? As long as it makes sense, the coverage makes sense based on your financial situation, then we're able to cover you. So again, which is a very unique thing, especially like here in North Texas, right? There's some big IT companies that bring employees from and sponsor employees from all over the world. So as long as they're 8 months here in a row, we're able to cover them and provide them the protection that they need here in the United States, right? People who come here and immigrate here to this country and are working here and paying taxes, we're able to also insure them even as long as they hit the 8 months in a row in the United States. So that's, for some people call that foreign nationals, we call that domestic, as long as you hit the 8 months in a row here in the country. So keep that in mind as you think of National Life Group. And then where I'm going to go to next is the emerging affluent category. And I should call that emerging affluent premium finance. And so if you think of that, those are your examples of what a lot of people in the industry, many of you guys have also used them. I know I know Phil and Netra have the Kaizen program, right? When there's premium financing involved in paying for the IUL, but because they're younger, we not necessarily look at it from a net worth, but we also look at it from more specifically from an income requirement, right? And that's the individual coming out of pocket for some of the premiums. So I want to talk to you guys about a new company and a new vendor that we have been using recently. We're still using and partnering with NIW. So if you're comfortable and you like that program, then continue to use it. Not telling you to stop. It's still a great program. We still get a lot of business from them and do a lot of business with them. But the next one I want to talk to you guys about is a company that's coming up really recently is called the Stream program, and that's run by two individuals by the name of Nicole Rex and Tim Whitmore. Tim was actually at the Great Collaboration, so many of you may have stopped by his booth. And by the way, I am no expert in the Stream plan, not like those guys or the Stream company. Richard at the Stream company, Phil, you and I have had quite a few phone calls with Richard and that team, and we're continuing to have quite a few conversations. And so, if we need to go into more detail on the Stream, I say that because they're the experts, and we can host something else with them later on. But I wanted to share with you guys a couple of flyers that they have sent me that I've been sending out to people, and it's been getting a lot of great traction and getting a lot of people's attention. And so, oh, sorry, my computer almost fell. All right, making sure that I can still see that. Let me pause here because I see some messages. All right, perfect. So it's all moving in the right direction. So this is the company, this is the logo Stream, and I'll send this out to you, Phil, because it kind of goes over some quick hits, some little FAQs about the program, right? So this is using our IUL product and using the Stream platform to fund it through out-of-pocket premiums and bank premiums that you're loaning out from a bank. So one of the requirements, and it is broken down by ages, but one of the requirements here, just to start off the conversation, must have at least 300,000 of income or at least $1 million of assets. That excludes the primary residence. So it is a little bit higher requirement, right? When we look at the Stream compared to maybe a Kaizen type of platform, right? So that's the first requirement. The second requirement is an LLC structure, right? And so these are not trust owned, but LLC owned. And then one of the things I want to focus on, because this is what's very extremely unique, is they go, up to ages 50 plus, right? They could go between 40 and 49, but this is not a typo, ladies and gentlemen. Ages 1 to 17. So juveniles, young kids. Many of you may have kids, your own kids that you're paying an IUL premium for. Maybe you have maybe you've worked with individuals, parents that have been paying premiums for the IUL for their kids. But what if you can add additional funding through the Stream program? And that's where, for the parents that are making above this income requirement, right? They want to come up with creative ways and unique ways outside of a 529 plan, outside of maybe of just an individual IUL, but standing out and being able to offer this program and to the parents and grandparents and say, look, we can set up a plan for your kids to have the insurance protection that they're going to need later on in life. You can take care of that for them while they're very, very young and their costs are low. But then we also have a program, if you qualify for, we're able to add on additional financing, and it's not coming from your pocket. It's coming from the financial institution that the company is partnered with. So it's a very, very unique, one of the few programs in this industry that is designed a program to go down below the age of 18. And so I want to make you guys aware of it. Right here, you can see the listing of $10,000 a year right? And then 5,000 for 5 years of applying for multiple children. So you can even apply for multiple children. It's a really, really unique program. And so, and it shows you down here, what the split is between, bank and client. So 70% of the premium is coming from the bank versus 30% coming from the client. So different ways of doing this, right? And different age brackets that you can work with by using the Stream platform. I'm going to send you guys as well this brochure that highlights an actual scenario that a family put together with Stream. And so this is a company, Stream is a company that's been around for a handful of years. And they've started with just working internally with their own agents, but they have been able to take this, and this one of the things that they want to do this and started last year, but this program is something that they want to take nationally and be able to use with many different people and financial professionals across this country. So we have nothing but great things to say about them. I've had a great experience with them in my own region. So I'm going to send you guys this information because it is not just only talking about premium financing, but it's also giving you the ability to expand to a market, younger applicants who we haven't had the chance of working with in the past. So any questions, comments?
Yeah, Marco, I was going to say, obviously you have to stay neutral between Kaizen and Stream. I don't. But some major differences. So first off, for those who aren't aware what Kaizen or Stream actually do, is when you think about premium finance, you think about mortgaging your insurance premiums. It's the easiest way to put it. The Kaizen and the Stream policies are like baby premium finance. It's for they call them the Henrys, high earners, not rich yet. So when you think about this, and I know a lot of people on this call have reached out to me in the past and said, "Hey, Phil, I want to do a 529 alternative. I've got a kid who's 5, I got a kid who's 7." And usually right around 10 is like the cutoff where it just doesn't work. But when you think about the idea of leverage and the idea to maximize the opportunity that you have with this, it can bring it all back to the table. Now, pros and cons between the two. Kaizen, you have 100,000 is the minimum for your W-2 income or K-1, 2 years in a row. Stream is 200,000 provable income. Kaizen does not do kid policies unless the parents have a Kaizen policy as well. Stream, you just have to have double the face amount as the kid, but it can be term insurance. So there's some differences, pros and cons with each of them. Kaizen takes a 30% split. Stream takes 25%. So you get an extra 5 points by using Stream back in your pocket. But once again, there's different benefits for each carrier. I think with Kaizen, you can do death benefit focused sales a lot easier than you can with Stream. Stream is focusing on income sales. So when it comes to illustration, design, and structure, Kaizen has a much bigger head start than Stream does. But both platforms look great. If you're not aware or familiar with how to do any of these, that's what you have myself, Marco, for to kind of help you through that process. We can get you signed up with either Kaizen, Stream, or both, so you have accessibility to those illustration designs. And I know for both carriers, Kaizen and for Stream, NLG is hands down the number one provider when it comes to these premium finance cases. With the liberal underwriting on the financials, with the speed to issue, and everything that in the living benefits, everything seems to go in favor of National Life Group, especially for this opportunity. And because he put it on the sheet, we're doing it with athletes. So we have these kids who are getting name, image, and likeness contracts, or NIL, and we're taking a single pay because Stream can take the single pay and put it in systematically for the next 5 years. So if you did 20,000 or a total of, 100,000, I think that's right, 5 payments, then you can give them 100 grand, and then they will systematically put it in for you. So it's a one shot, one kill, so to speak, and then you're moving on. So that's the great thing about this. So with the strength and power of National Life Group with speed to issue, your client doesn't need collateral, so they don't need to put any extra money in the bank like you would with traditional premium finance. And you can get these through quick and easy. The only thing I'll warn people is it's a comp split of 5 years. So you're going to have 5 year payouts. They'll take whatever your comp is and split it out over 5 years because we use an early cash value rider for these policies. So that's the only thing. So when you think about it, if you did one or two of these per month, they start to tack on, and now all of a sudden you have 5 years worth of a base salary, so to speak, as you continue to add more of them through the process. So I just wanted to kind of overlay over that the strength and the power of National Life Group, the speed to issue in an interesting industry like premium finance. There's no better partner to do it with than National Life Group. So just want to say that, and I'll throw it back to you, Marco.
No, I appreciate that, Phil. Because you've had experience with both, right? I have
Yep.
more experience with Kaizen, but you were very, you're very engaged. You have been really engaged with the Stream program and
Yep.
going directly to them. So between Phil, myself, the Stream company, and our advanced markets team, there's like 7 or 10 people that are here to support you and to help you get into this world, to meet any questions or any concerns you may have, and really walk you through how this goes. So to recap, the 24 was a great year for us. 25 is shaping up to be a fantastic year as well. We have some momentum going into the summer and even in the end of the last year. I forgot to mention, Phil, you brought it up gently, but we have 2 new IULs that are coming out this year. And so you'll be hearing much more about those as they are launched. And then the Stream program, right, and all the different ways that you can use a National Life IUL in the insurance planning world, from premium finance to business cases to foreign nationals to Stream and Kaizen like program. So I thank you all for the time, and I went a little bit over, but we had a lot of great things that we talked about. I hope you're excited about a couple of things, and we can't wait to work with you.
Real quick, so does anyone have any additional questions for Marco, aside from the fact that we both went to the same barber? So Hamali says, Kaizen, do you guys have a different team for helping? So do you have a different group that does Kaizen only, Marco, like case management, advanced sales, or anything like that, or is it
Yeah,
all
good
together?
question. So we have our advanced sales team knows both programs, Kaizen and the Stream program. And internally, we do have a team that focuses on premium financing. So just so you know that whenever there's a premium finance or an emerging affluent case like Kaizen or Stream, it doesn't go to the case managers, underwriters that are looking at $100,000 term, right? That's a separate program. So yes, we have you need different skill sets, right? So we have a different underwriter and case manager to make sure that we're giving the best service to those higher premium cases.
Yeah, so someone asked if we could have a session on Kaizen. Um, so, Marco, if you want, you can stick around. I could just start talking about Kaizen and Stream and how they work, if people are interested in that. But I can show some illustrations and designs. You can either pop off
Yeah,
or stay on.
yeah, I'll stay on.
Okay. So,
Phil, I have a question for Marco.
yeah, Prasanna, go ahead.
Marco, you did mention like for foreign nationals or domestic partners, They have to be in United States for continuous 8 month period, right? This is from the day they first enter the US, right?
Correct. Yeah. Or later on, and it's, and as long as it's 8 months in a row. So from when they enter or from, if they leave the country and they come back, then it restarts.
So if they leave the country and come back, the counter restarts.
Correct.
So every time they come back to US, they have to be in the country continuously for 8 months.
Correct. Yeah. And if they go on a vacation and come back, that's a different story, right? But if they're gone for a while, then that's where we start to look at the 8 month rule.
So, like, I think to preface what Prasanna is probably asking is a lot of times, people will go back to India for like up to 3 or 4 weeks, because of the time it takes to fly over there and everything. So, from that standpoint, it is actually a vacation, but will that reset the counter clock, so to speak?
Yeah, for a vacation, no. It won't reset the counter clock. Really, it's just when people go back to a country and it's like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna come back or not. That's really where the 8 month rule comes in. So the vacations are fine. It doesn't matter if it's a week or 3 weeks or four. Vacationing is fine. With the intent of coming back, you're okay. So I
So,
hope
Got
that
it. Thank
makes
you.
sense.
Yep. Thank you.
so Okay, that was a great question because when you talk foreign nationals, no one beats NLG, especially for people here. Nothing but an I-10. You don't see that from other carriers. They usually want track record and history, which is important. Again, you have to have a nexus or a tie to the United States. But when it comes to people seeking asylum, when it comes to people who only have an I-10, no visa, that's something that National Life Group will take. And a lot of people don't realize that. So you might have missed out on opportunities. Maybe you had someone with an H-1B that had a month left and no extension. And you're like, well, crap, now I can't give them anything. National Life Group will give them something, and they have living benefits too. So you want to talk to the originators of living benefits, you got them right here. So I think that's a big thing to just kind of remember is I don't think anyone, I, between all of us, the people on this call and Marco, I hated National Life Group when I would go to Florida. Like, hated it. So my territory was Texas to Carolinas and South. And so I would cover Florida. And every time I would go to an office in Orlando or Miami, first thing he said, do you cover Venezuelans who are here on asylum? No. Oh, well, National Life Group does. How about this? How about that? No. We have our niche. And so it was just like, I'd be like, NLG. But, like I say, once again, on this side, when you have that unbiased approach, and again, the idea really is the benefit for the client, you sell what makes sense for them. Now, all of a sudden, you have the opportunity to take advantage of what seemed like a competitor before is now a partner and a strong strategic partner at that. So, yeah, I think I've told you that before, Marco, but that was for me, that was always a sore spot was going up against you guys, especially in Southern Florida.
I haven't heard the Florida one before. I heard the
Oh,
Northern,
all
but not the
right. Well,
Florida story. Thank you for
now you
sharing.
know. Yeah, now you know. It was some hoorah people who would come up to me. So but we won't mention their names here. So, yeah, so to kind of dive in real quick, so I guess we'll say like this is an additional value proposition for those who are not familiar with the premium finance side, or I, I like to call Kaizen kind of like baby premium finance again. So, big boy premium finance, some people only want to pay interest only. They don't want to pay half the premium up front or things like that. So the idea here is again all about leverage. So if I wanted to create a presentation, so this is called ILIA, Interactive Learning Information Assistant. I can actually send an invitation to a customer right from here, and they fill out all the information and they play around with it. But if I wanted to create a presentation, I could. So let's stick with National Life Group, and we're going to do Kaizen. So what'll happen is it'll open up a portal and an opportunity for me to, this is exactly what the client would see. So you'll see I have it branded and logoed with Valor Financial Specialists, so sponsored by Valor. Your client can go through these little modules and stuff. They can actually start tinkering around, but I actually like the custom design. So I'm going to do a new custom design. We'll just say, we'll pick on me, Phil Resch, 12/22/1981. I'm not 44 yet, stupid age nearest. And we'll pretend I have average health. We'll go with that for now. So no Mary Jane, so I do not smoke. Now, what it's going to tell me is what type of focus do I want? Do I want to maximize DB or do I want to maximize distributions? Well, because I'm so young, I would like to maximize potential distributions. Now, what it's going to say is, what is your annual contribution for 5 years? Now, for me, at my age, the minimum is roughly about 22,000. So let's just say I want to do 30,000 for the next 5 years. There's going to be no employer contribution, but once again, when you think from a business standpoint, you have the opportunity to do some type of employer contribution or match. So when you think of your business owners looking for tax deductions on key executive employees, executive bonuses, you can do stuff like this, like split dollar plans. I want to start distributions at 67 because let's be honest, no one in the insurance industry ever really retires, right? So I'll hit next. And I love this. Me, I'm an S&P fan, so I would rather have it illustrated via S&P 100%. Personal opinion. And then all I have to do is hit view results. So now what it's actually doing is it's stress testing the entire policy for me. It's actually creating the illustration for me so I can see how the premium finance works as well as the actual illustration that would be the National Life Group illustration. So it's going to go through the process, and there's very few carriers on this because of the stress testing. They want to make sure it follows through the guidelines to be a strong policy that lasts for your entire life. So as this is running, the idea of this premium finance is typically you have what they call a 3-to-1, some have 4 or 5-to-1, depending on, stream versus Kaizen. But the idea of 3-to-1 leverage is you pay 50% of the premium in the first 5 years. They match it for the most part. So that's your total premium. Then the last 5 years, they pay for it all. You don't pay for anything. So really, your commitment is a total of 5 years. So that's where you see these little orange piggies. The orange piggies are what you're going to put in. The green is what the lender or the bank is going to put in. So my contributions, 30,000 for the next 5 years, a total of 150,000. They're putting in about 17,000 the first 5 years, and then 45,000 for 6 through 10. So we talk about leverage, the benefits and the distributions. You look at a total of initial death benefit of 772, and I'll start getting about $30,000 in tax-free income starting at 67 all the way to 90. So when you see how much I've pulled out from those years of distribution, I've pulled out $720,000 at a 5.96 internal rate of return. Now, if I wanted to see the actual illustration, for example's sake, if I look at the client proposal, this is where you have the story. So the story itself, 30,000 is the contribution amount. They talk about how it's a triple win. There's a win for the carrier because they're getting max funded insurance policies. There's a win for the customer because they're getting an enhancement or leverage from the bank. And there's a win for the bank because the interest that you're borrowing on the account plus the money you borrow will be paid back using tax-free cash value from the policy. So when you look at it, they talk about leverage and they talk about the different ways it can all work. So if you looked at a comparison between after-tax investment or funding it separately using a 6% rate of return with an income tax of 37%, long-term capital gains, your distributions would be about 26,457. If you self-funded it, 29, but if you leverage it, it's 30,000, so you're getting more for your money. And what you'll find here is they talk about stress tests. So this is probably the biggest key for this type of solution. 1980s, we had interest rates up around 15%. Okay. So they're saying if you had 15% interest rates in 9 out of the 15 years, you'd still get income. If we had the Great Depression, where you had those terrible years, let's say you had about 7 out of 15 down years, you're still getting 19,500 in tax-free income. So they stress test these to make sure you're getting the leverage that you need. And it has the whole funding options with the bank, the interest rates, everything on this page. This is the raw data, so to speak, between what you're funding, what the bank is funding, so on and so forth. Now, if I were to flip the script, for example's sake, and take this to stream, we might have a different story. So I'm going to sign in as the agent, and I am going to do the estimator. So let's just say my age is 44, male, health status, we'll say standard, $30,000 contribution, and income starting at 67. Calculate. So this is the quick version. I can also create a client. I can also get the full-blown quote and everything. But you'll see here that the projected net annual income is a lot higher, 76,707. So in certain cases, because what they're doing here is they're leveraging a higher amount that I'm borrowing against the policy. So they're actually giving me more inside a stream because of the bank account funding and my age. So when Marco showed that 70-30, 60-40, 50-50, Kaizen has peeled back a little bit on the leverage, stream has not. So you'll see I'm getting an actual 4-to-1 dollar ratio for what I put into what I'm getting out. So this can be a great strategic opportunity. As you can see, the bank's total contributions is 600K over 10 years versus what you're getting from Kaizen. So different strokes for different folks. Either one is a solid strategy. Either one is using National Life Group. So we can go over these. One of the biggest things I always say is, when it comes to delivery, it's all about knowing what's best for the client. If they're more conservative, if they're more aggressive, if they're okay with bank funded strategies, this is a great story and a great opportunity. Once again, from your standpoint as a producer, you're looking at a 5-year spread of that target premium. So don't kill me. That's just how it is. So it just means you have to sell more of them and you get 5 years worth of income, over that time period.
Hey,
But
Phil, let me make a quick comment
yep.
because we are extremely spoiled. Because think about what you just did. In 8 minutes, I timed you. In 8 minutes, you ran a design with NIW and with Stream. When we first introduced Kaizen 10 years ago, it
Grab the
did not take
Snickers.
8 minutes. I promise you. It did not. It took much more. And now we're running two. So the
Yep.
fact that the technology that we have today,
Yep.
uh, from on the front end and now on the back end, it is incredible. Honestly, I
Oh,
think I think we've come a long way as an industry. And kudos to these companies too for putting resources behind this.
yeah,
Um,
smooth as butter. And that's why I'm okay. Like, when you talk about people who are like, well, I want the whole thing. Why am I giving someone a split? Because they actually do all the management from years 2 through 10 and beyond for your customer too. So they'll generate the reports, they'll generate the policies, annual premiums, and reviews and everything, you just have to go talk to your client. So, yeah, thank you, Marco. I was going to say that you don't have to worry about getting bank information, no, nothing. They're all internalized. And so basically you just have to prove that you have the net worth to do it. And yeah, you can start these process. So once again, Stream is provable 200K net worth of income per year. Kaizen is 100K, K1 or W2. But provable income, if you don't have that, so say you're that entrepreneur, if you have a brokerage account or a bank account that shows like $1 million net worth kind of deal, then that would be sufficient as well because it shows that you have the assets to cover the funding. So the big thing that I would say is with these type of strategies, especially with like, say for example's sake, you got a kid, you're like, I want to do 100,000 on each kid, and stuff like that. You can't do that because you run into financial questions of face amount for age and stuff like that. Because like some of the athletes that Marco is definitely going to get approved are around 5 million. But, we'll talk about that another time. So you have to also understand that there are financial guidelines. So you can run whatever you want, but it still has to be approved through the financial guidelines of what NLG, from their underwriting standpoint, is going to provide. And yeah, Netra, you are right. They have a very good surrender schedule too with their product portfolio suite. And someone asked me who can be the possible clients for such strategies and what could be the talking points on these. Um, this would be your business owners, right? Marco, did you want to answer that? Because you see more of the cases come through.
No,
I do.
you could go ahead. You go ahead and finish. I'll just add my 2 cents at the end.
Yeah, so the big thing is business owners, people who have a need for insurance, which a lot of people forget. They always lead with this first and forget that there has to be a need for insurance. Um, and then if the person doesn't want to come out of pocket for a big part, or they're interested in leveraging the opportunity, that's where this makes sense because they understand, let's be honest, a lot of our customers know how to leverage money. They're pulling out of real estate, taking that money, moving it somewhere else to get something else. This is the same thing. You're mortgaging your insurance and you're leveraging other people's money to help you get a higher return.
Yeah, spot on, Phil. When I look at the customers that come in, the applicants that come in, it's high earners, high net worth folks. Even if they don't have, like Phil said, if they don't make the 200,000 of income, but they have the $1 million of net worth, then you can go with Stream. I'll give you an example. Just before this call, we were trying to figure out how to approve. It was a 40-year-old attorney in Florida. On her tax return, she's only showing 25,000 of income, but her business, because she's a lawyer, she owns her own law firm. She's putting all of it back into the law firm. So her law firm is valued at $5 million. She qualifies, and because we have a business valuation. From my experiences, it's the business owner who has the appetite and who has the understanding of loaning, right? Loaning money for a benefit later. They understand that because they're probably doing that a lot in their business. Real estate investors, real estate agents, right? That's the concept of loaning and borrowing funds is something that's natural to them. So I would look at it more from their day to day. What do they do? And does it involve any loaning in any kind of business venture that they have?
Yep. And really, let's be honest, guys, a lot of what I've talked about from a sales perspective is business owners. 86% of business owners do not have a retirement plan. So going into a business, asking them what they're looking at doing for their own personal retirement. Have they started to look at their retirement in general? Because a lot of them think that their business is their retirement. So you can ask them simple question, what's your plan? Have you diversified your retirement portfolio? Would you be interested in bank funded retirement strategies because no one thinks of it that way. So it's just changing the words a little bit to get them to say, what's he or she talking about? And then you have that time where you can now sit down with them. So, what I would say is for those of you on the call, who are already part of Valor but haven't gotten National Life Group yet, um, we can get you that contract. Very simple and easy. Pretty sure I'm looking at the list, and I believe everybody, for the most part, on here has it. But we can get it quick and easy. Just what I would say is email me at phil@valorfs.com. And then also, if you want to get set up with Stream, if you want to get set up with Kaizen, we can do that too. Just email me because the minute I shut this down, all chats, all everything go away. So just email me and I can get you the instructions on how to get set up for Stream. You have to watch about 3 hours worth of video. Kaizen is a little different. It's like a contract to sign. But the fact of the matter is to have these at your fingertips will elevate your game higher than your competition. So how do you separate yourself? This is a great way to do it. A lot of people already have NLG with someone else, whatever, and you might be competing against it, but then you add in the extra flavors that they may not be aware of. And now all of a sudden you just elevated your game. So when you talk about a true Swiss Army knife, National Life Group is it. Cheap shameless plugs on the other stuff. Roth IRAs, regular IRAs. This is the only company that you can do a $100 minimum premium into a distribution without having a $5,000 minimum. Okay. You don't make a lot. However, if you have clients who are looking to plan, you are that valued resource, that value referral person where you can help someone get to the retirement that they deserve rather than the one that they were going to get. So there's a lot of great features that come from National Life Group, and that's why I truly value the partnership and everything that they brought to the table. And I think it's up to us at this point to that Marco's given us this time, where I would say the action step, time for the call to action, right? So I want you guys to think about at least 2 to 3 clients who can fit in the criteria of this, or just in general that you'd love to sit down and talk about. Let's set up a time. It's real easy now. I've actually set up a very quick way to do it. So it's appointments.valorfs.com. Book some time. So let's talk about some case design. Let's talk about some structure. Let's talk about ways to make you money and also put a little bit of coin in Marco's pocket too for the time. So I want to say thank you to you, Marco, a true partner. I appreciate your time. And I know you said you thought you were only going 30, but
This was well worth it. Thank you
we hit
guys. It's
overtime.
fantastic. This was
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, and then once again, for those who want the replay, YouTube, at Valor Financial, you'll have it up there. And I'll tell you right now, Marco, every time I do a video for you guys, it has gotten the most views. So,
Love it. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that.
you got it, buddy. So, appreciate the time, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And if we don't talk until next week, because we better talk about some cases and opportunities, have a great weekend. All you fathers out there, have a happy Father's Day. And we'll talk very, very soon. So again, Marco, thank you so much, and appreciate it all.
Thank you guys.
See ya.